You're listening to The Present Professional.
Get quiet to live loud.
Aligned action or a distraction. Those are the two options.
It's the best thing you can do for humanity.
A podcast for leaders navigating the human experience. Brought to you by Humessence. And I'm your host, John Marshall. Welcome to another episode of The Present Professional. Today, we have Humessence coach Julie Johnston with us. She is our coach that's focusing on emerging leaders, so helping them build confidence and find their voice. And through that, she's the designer and facilitator of our Game Changers program. So I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that a little bit later. But that's the program that focuses on your cohorts of emerging leaders within your organization. And again, she'll bring you into a little bit more detail on that. Yeah. But I want you all, I'm so excited for you all to, get to know a little bit more about Julie herself, her background, and just I'm excited for you all to experience the light that she brings to Humessence and, what I'm so grateful for in every interaction and every team meeting. So with that, I'll hand it over to Julie for a little 1 minute autobiography here.
Oh, yeah, 1 minute. Oh boy. Okay. Let's see.
I say 1 minute to keep it to 5,
Okay. Got it. No Cliff Note version here. Thank you, John. It is such an honor to be here on actually, this is my second ever podcast, which is ironic because I spend a lot of time behind a microphone, but mostly reading other people's words and rarely just saying mine. So thank you for this opportunity. So my journey to where I am today as a coach, a mother, a director of children's theater, a voiceover actress, a voiceover coach, a karaoke host. I mean, the list goes on. I like to tell people I have 11 jobs, and if you can count them, not the ones that I'm not paid for, I really do. But it all started, I grew up in California. I had a very loving, supportive family that just really always empowered me to be myself. And I was pretty shy, young, believe it or not. And I got into children's theater. And that, ironically, is my heart and soul and passion today. I'll tell you more about that later. But getting into theater was life-changing. And this happened around the age of, I think I started when I was about 8 or 9. I wasn't an athletic kid, so I didn't really have anything other than the theater. But it was an instant love for the camaraderie, the product that we would create after weeks and weeks of rehearsing. And it was just this sense of pride and community. And I'd get out on that stage and I wasn't me. I was a character and I had people smiling and laughing. And I will attest that the feelings I would get when I'd make people smile, when I'd perform, has carried forth into who I am to my core today. I believe in the power of making people feel good any way you possibly can. And that is one of my core teachings in my coaching is it's not about you. It's about how you make people feel. And when people feel good, they want to be around you. And you build your network and your team and you build your supporters by making others feel good. And I think that all kind of clicked being on stage and having just people smile and clap. And I went, I did that. So getting later into life, went to Pepperdine, had an incredible opportunity to live overseas. That kind of sparked my passion for travel and for culture and for just getting to know strangers. After Pepperdine, I started working in advertising, and I was really fortunate to have internships during college, which got me a job right out of school, which really propelled me professionally quickly. Living in California, born and raised, I always felt like I needed to get to New York. It was in my blood that I knew I had to experience the city. And so I had a great opportunity 2 years into my professional career to move to New York City with the company I was with. And I had to promise them I wouldn't leave them to go be on Broadway. And I said, You don't have to worry about that. I'm not that good. But had just a great opportunity to have a company move me out to New York City, which truly was the transformative time in my life where I met my husband. I got the greatest mentors, women who took me under their wing and taught me really a lot of what I teach now. And got opportunities to go live again overseas for the company and just experienced life. It also introduced me to the world of voiceover. And we're in my studio. And I love how you said I help people find their voice, because that is actually the tagline to my voiceover business is find your voice. Um, I'm a professional voice actress. I've been doing it for now 23 years professionally. I'm in the Screen Actors Guild, and I teach it and I help people create their own career. I was really lucky through my job in advertising. I worked in post-production. So I worked with editors that edited TV commercials. And little Julie, right out of college, was the receptionist. And the editors, I remember one editor one day said, "Hey, can someone read this script?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll do it." And I went in there and I read it and I was like, what is this? I can read scripts all day. This is awesome. And ironically, the client liked my voice and said, let's just use her. And that was my entrance into the Screen Actors Guild. That was my entrance into residuals and the ridiculousness of paid voiceover work, which is a beautiful thing, but trust me, it's hard to come by. But definitely I got in through the back door. And so at this point in my life, I'm still a voice actor. I still do a lot of work, but I pay forward by helping people, learn the business and get into it in a similar way that I did, because I have a relationship with an agent that I work with. But anyway, the power of voiceover has really helped me become a better public speaker. It's helped me coach people in their presentation skills and their public speaking skills. And I teach people truly this instrument can get you everything you want if you know how to use it right. And so there's a lot of the performing arts tied into my coaching. And I truly believe, like that little girl on stage that recognized the power she had through her energy and her voice can make people feel good and make people respond. So there's just a lot of that into my coaching world. So flash forward to today, I live in Fairfax, Virginia with my husband and my two incredible teenage daughters. We're in the thick of it, but we're surviving. And we've moved a lot. And I also attest that, having lived in Los Angeles, in Las Vegas, in New York, and now Virginia, I've met a lot of people along the way, and I've worked with a lot of people, and I've observed a lot of people, seeing what works and what doesn't when it comes to success. And um, I think one of the strengths in my coaching is my real life experience, and just having worked in so many different cities, states, environments, types of businesses. I have connected with people in so many ways and coached them just by proxy. I've also done a lot of recruiting. I have a really good, keen sense of who is a good fit and who isn't. And I usually end up coaching people in that interview, whether they're going to get the job or not. So I'm sure you can tell, just my whole life has been spent focusing on people. And don't ask me to spell, because I'm a terrible speller, but I can talk all day long and really engage. And that's my passion. And I'm grateful that, like, at this point in my life, I'm doing everything I feel like I was put on this earth to do. I won't get into those 9 jobs because they're all under that umbrella. Was that 5 minutes? Did I make it? Probably not.
Oh, that was beautiful. I don't even care. I don't even care.
Thanks,
It's one of those things. Every time I'm on a call with you, my fiance says, like, is is that is that Julie? Just keep her on the phone for a little bit longer.
That's so funny. It's so funny.
So it's something about the way you articulate things, and not just your voice, but the way that everything comes together. That just makes it so easy to listen to. So
Thanks.
yeah, I apologize for even putting any kind of time constraint on that.
No, it's okay. We need it. It's funny you say that, because sometimes, like, I'll be honest, I get on like autopilot when I talk, and something like overcomes me, and I don't even know what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh, it's coming out. And I say that that's the interesting thing about voiceover work is it's difficult because when you're a voice actor, the goal is to give lines with variety. So if I said, I can't wait to get home, I'm going to need to say that three different ways. Three different ways. So I could say, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home. Okay, I said it three different ways, but I didn't have a map to follow or musical notes. And I work with a lot of singers and I say, you've got it easy as a singer because the notes are laid out for you. You know exactly what to do. But with speaking, we sometimes don't know what's going to come out. And I feel like that's the fear that keeps so many people from speaking up or sharing their
Mhm.
thoughts or feelings is they're afraid, I don't know what's going to come out. And once you get over that, just like let it out, just say it. I mean, there's nothing should hold you back and there's no mistakes. And the biggest mistake in speaking is not speaking, because then you're never going to have that opportunity to share your thoughts. So
Definitely.
roundabout way
This
of just
no,
saying public speaking is really important.
you brought something up for me here that,
Yeah.
you know, how you teach and lead improv experiences as
Uh-huh.
well. But, what you're just saying there is the art of improv, like allowing what's coming up, what's coming to you to come up in a way that you're not so attached to, just the way it comes out.
Right.
And, you know, it's improv and coaching are very much aligned,
Uh-huh.
right? Like we don't go into a coaching session knowing what's going to come up with a client,
Totally.
knowing exactly what they're going to bring to us, knowing how we're going to respond to exactly what they're going to say. It's like every coaching session is a bit of improv.
It is.
And now I'm kind of seeing how all of these things are coming together to make you a fantastic coach of like the improv piece, but then also like this art of helping people find their voice. You just said it in such a in such a beautiful way. Sure, accessed through voice acting, but there was
Mhm.
so much more behind what you just said right there.
Yeah.
Because how much time do we spend overthinking
100%. Yep.
what we're going to say,
Yeah.
how it's going to land, how everyone's going to interpret it? Well, then I might as well just not say anything.
Yeah. And, it's interesting, John, is most people, the reality is they're not really listening to you. They're not. People, it's Maya Angelou's quote. They'll forget what you said. They forget what you did. But they don't forget how you make them feel. And so much of what I want people to recognize is say what you want to say because they're not going to remember the words. They're going to remember your energy and your spirit and your smile and how that resonated. That's what people take away. They're not going to remember verbatim if you said too many times. Let that fear go, but stand up proud and confident and believing in who you are and what you've got to say, and people are going to be listening. And once you can lock into just like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it that's going
Mm.
to resonate.
I mean, executive presence, right?
Yes.
The way it's laid out in what is her name? But I can't remember the like kind of the lead, or Sylvia Hewitt, I think her name is. Like it dives into executive presence research, and it's something like, I'm going to butcher these percentages,
It's okay.
but it's something like 60 to 70% is presence, like gravitas, or the way that you show up, the energy with which you convey like your conviction, your intention. And then communication is like the actual choice of words
Right.
is like 20 to 30%.
Right.
And then your appearance is 10% or something, where it's
Yeah.
like you just don't want your appearance to take away from your message.
Yeah.
But I feel like what you were saying there, it was that kind of amplified by that 60 to 70% of like your conviction, like you're showing up behind your idea and your presence in the room.
Yep.
Mm.
And more often than not, the people that are fearful of public speaking and think they're horrible, I mean, they are truly their worst enemies because the audience does not want you to fail. They really want you to do well. So you are being rooted on by whoever's listening to you. And you've just got to lock into nobody's sitting there going, "Oh, I hope he messes up." Like, we don't like that. That's a really uncomfortable feeling when the speaker is frozen or what. No, we want you to do well. So if you look at it that like we're on your team, we're cheering you on, you got this. And I think most of the time the people that think they're terrible are actually really not that bad. They're just really hard on themselves and overly critical. And if you can let
Mhm.
that self-judgment go, and just the act of getting up there and speaking is admirable and people respect that, then you can start to like let the pressure off of being perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot into it. I'm doing a workshop, by the way, on January 10th called Presenting for Introverts. And, I think when people recognize um, there's a lot of smart people out there, but it's when you're smart and can communicate that you can get ahead.
Mhm.
So, you're in a room of engineers and you're all brilliant, but it's that one that also can communicate how brilliant they are that will get the speaking engagements, the notoriety, and the leaders to recognize them. So, I feel very passionate about helping everyone find their voice. And it doesn't mean you have to become this performative extrovert. There are really solemn, you know, controlled people that just speak volumes with their mannerisms and their presence, as you said. So,
Right?
takes all
And it's like,
types.
even if that takes more energy,
Yeah,
you have what it takes still.
you
And
do.
I just want to double down on that plug there. If any of you are interested in joining that workshop, you just go right to the Humessence website. There's a button right there at the top to see all the different workshops we have coming up, and you can go
Yep.
ahead and register right for
It's
that Presenting for Introverts
look,
workshop on January 10th.
it's a great gift for
Mm-hmm.
holidays. Give that person
Ah,
you love or yourself. I think right now there's a special. It's not even that much money. And you know
yep.
me. Well, now you're getting to know me. It's going to be fun. It's going to be engaging. And I think you're going to take away something that will live in your pocket and you will pull it out when you need it and be like, thank you, Julie. I needed to hear that. Because some of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and I work with kids, John, I kind of left that part out. So
Yeah.
probably the biggest passion project that has come into my life over the last 10 years is getting into directing children's theater. And it happened by happenstance that we moved to Virginia. I had kids in elementary school. We were looking for an easy way to make friends. There was a community theater program at the school or PTA, and I volunteered. And the director was a young woman who ran the program. And she's like, "You really want to come help at every rehearsal?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to." And I did that for 3 years with her, helping her with all the musicals. And then she moved away during the pandemic. And the school was like, "Julie, you want to take this over?" And John, I had never directed a show all by myself. I literally now I never thought I would and never had. I mean, I was always helping her, but it was never my vision and my responsibility. But of course, in Julie fashion, I said yes because I am a true believer in you got nothing to lose, try it. So I said yes, but I knew
Mm-hmm.
I needed help to pull this off. And we were just coming back from the pandemic. And so things were just not in place in any school. And so I had an opportunity to kind of recreate. And I said, I'm going to go to the performing arts high school in our community, and I'm going to go to the district, the school district, and get certified, my company, Eye Contact Coaching, to be a partner with the school district. And so I was able to get interns from the performing arts high school to come work with me as my junior directors. And so I've created this program that now I've been doing this for 4 years. I do 2 shows a year. They are growing in size, growing in offerings. We're adding more programs, we're adding more kids, we're adding more interns. And it's really taken been taken notice of by the school district. We just got reached out to by the superintendent of Fairfax County that said, I've heard about this program. I want to learn more. And so I am just overjoyed
Wow.
because what I'm doing for these kids is what I'm doing for these adults. And that's teaching them young the confidence, the teamwork, and the power, and just get out there and sing your little hearts out. And you're going to be so proud of yourself. And you may never do it again, but you will remember this forever. And you'll use these skills in whatever avenue life takes you.
Mm. Sing your little heart out. It's like that can apply, right?
Your
In
little
so
girl's
many,
going to do that.
Right? She
Yeah.
will. She's already yeah, she's already like pretty loud.
Yeah.
Like she has some vocal cords for sure. Yeah, we'll see how that evolves, but it's this, like, sing your little heart out can, really apply throughout our lives, right? It's like, how many times have we, I don't want to even speak from this universal we, but it's even thinking back on my life, how many times were there that I stayed silent?
Mm-hmm.
Probably maybe a little less than some,
Mm-hmm.
but that happens more than, especially with a lot of my clients and everything. It's, so many things that, they could have said or they could have said differently. And, that's okay to see that in hindsight. But then it's, what are you going to do differently moving forward?
Yeah.
Right? Where can you start creating evidence that, I can speak up and there's not going to be all these bad things that I think is going to happen.
Yeah. I have a
Right?
story. So
Yeah.
to that point, so I teach improv. Thank you for bringing that up. It is so fun, and I teach it to adults and children because, as you mentioned, and it is so true, improv just replicates life. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, and when you learn the art of rolling with it and being ready to pivot and also being inclusive, the whole yes and, where you make people feel good and you agree, but you can also add your own ideas in and redirect. It's such a valuable tool. And when these kids learn it, it's fun. But when the adults learn it, it's like, oh, I see the connection to my real life, and I'm going to apply this to my job. I'm going to apply this to my family. But so I was taking an improv workshop recently, and we did
Hmm.
a showcase, and it was like we'd been rehearsing, performing, and learning together for several weeks. And the final, it culminated in an improv show. And it was me and 9 other of the actors that I'd been working with for the last 7 weeks. And we were in front of like 100 people. And granted, this was my very first improv performance personally. I'd been teaching it forever, but I've not been a student.
Mm.
And the final little like act that we were doing. Obviously, it's improv, so we didn't know where it was going. But I set up the scene to be about the show Wicked. And people were, interacting with that Wicked theme. But here's where the story happens. So I moved to the back line, letting people interact. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, what I really want to do right now is the ah, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to just belt my little heart out. And I thought it would be so funny just out of nowhere. And I was too scared. And I overthought it. And I'm like, no, that's going to be weird. And it's funny because my daughter was in the audience and she was watching me. And after the show, she goes, I know exactly what you were thinking. You wanted to do that. And I'm like, yes. She goes, I saw the wheels spinning. She goes, why didn't you do it, Mom? And I'm like, I was just too afraid that people would think it was weird or that it would just be too like disruptive. And I'm like, still mad at myself. I am still beating myself up for wasting that opportunity. That now, flash forward, that little is so famous. Like everyone would have understood at this point, looking hindsight. Oh, Julie, because this was probably a week before the show came out, the movie came out. But
Yeah.
John, like, I'm the type of person that I hang on to things, my own things. I'm a great forgiver of other people, but I really am hard on myself.
Mm.
And there's good and bad in that, but that lesson of regret, that's what I teach, and that's what I got to keep teaching myself. I mean, we don't learn all this overnight, and that's why coaching is important. It's not like I took a class, I got a certification, and I'm qualified for life. It's like, no, this is lifelong learning. This is lifelong resetting, reflecting, but I will never miss an opportunity to be weird in an improv class ever again. And I'm going to do that little Wicked thing anywhere I go now because I'm like, no, I'm going to make up for that missed opportunity.
That's such a good example. And I mean,
Yeah.
anyone that's listening right now has an example of some place in their life they can look back and think of a time that they stayed silent,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's just, but then, when you move into like your career, it's like there's so much calculation going on about, what's allowed, what's valued, how do I need to show up to live by these core competencies, do I need to
Yeah.
behave like my manager? It's like all of this, it's kind of this barrier between like social awareness and like hypervigilance,
Yeah.
where it's great to be socially aware and be able to read the room. But then at the same time, it's, when you're letting that awareness control and affect how you're feeling inside, this hypervigilance,
hmm
it's, then you can kind of stifle your authenticity.
Yeah.
So it's, like, how do you help people find this balance of tact and their authentic voice when it comes to like their careers and
So
professionally?
I love that question because I'm actually talking to a client about this right now with it's about your delivery. And you can really get away with saying anything if it's coming from the right place and if it's keeping in mind how the other person is going to receive it. And so if you have a complaint or a concern or a disagreement with someone, but you deliver it in a way that disarms them, that makes them see it's coming from a place of true like concern, compassion, or just fear, then you give them the permission to hear you from your perspective. But so many of us don't know how to do that. And we just come at people. One thing I tell people is when you're going to send a text or an email, read it out loud in an angry voice. If it sounds angry, then you've written it wrong. But
Mm.
if you find, and I mean, there's a difference between obviously writing and speaking, but I just think in all communication, you really have to dial into how is the person going to receive this. And this goes back to it's not about you, it's about them. And you've got to think through not, well, I wouldn't take it like that. It doesn't matter how you would take it. How do you think they would? And do you really know them to know could this go the wrong direction than you intended just because of the words you've chosen or your energy or your tone?
And, that you said something there like that you intended. And I'm like, you know, I feel like part of that is sometimes just communicating your intention,
Yeah.
right? You know, here's what I have to say. It might not be perfect, but, here's the reason why, right?
Yep.
I'm coming, like,
Yeah.
I'm really here because, I want to foster your growth, even though it's uncomfortable. I know that this conversation has to happen
Yeah.
for you to hear, you know, what I feel that I would want to hear if I was in your
Yeah.
situation, right? It's like, and, that could be just a feedback scenario like that. But I feel like there was something there about, what you intend. And, how sometimes there are tactful and thoughtful ways to communicate that within the communication itself, but maybe sometimes it's just communicate your intention.
And I love that. The idea of being vulnerable is very powerful. And with my game changers and my rising leaders who are always in a position of trying to prove themselves and come off, more prepared or more elevated than maybe they really are, they put up these fronts and energies that they won't show vulnerability or weaknesses. There is so much power when somebody comes to you and is like, I think I messed up and I want to just talk through it, or I don't have the answer. I don't know how to do this. I mean, I respond really well to people who are real versus trying to, be something they're not. And when you
Hmm.
learn that tactic at any level, because when a leader can come to you and be like, I messed up. I totally want to talk through this. I didn't make the right choice. That is so powerful. And they gain so much respect when you can do this. But as a young rising leader, to learn that now and not the hard way, the game changers, if we could talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, that was gonna be my
Yeah.
next. I was like, oh, good thing you brought that up. Let's talk
Yeah,
about game
so
changers.
throughout my career working in advertising, live events, I was a director of creative and I moved into vice president of people for a live event company after my career in advertising. I've worked with a lot of very senior people. And, when you have personality, like the kind that people are attracted to, and I like to teach people that because it's not something you necessarily have to be born with. You learn those tactics. I can teach you that. But people gravitate to you. And I've been fortunate to have leaders really trust and take my advice and take my feedback. It's nice when someone will listen to you telling them, you are being a jerk. And they're like, tell me more, Julie. But anyhow, I found over the years and through working with people that some of the things I'd have to work on with these very, very senior executives and business owners, I would just shake my head and say, why didn't you learn this 10, 20 years ago? And they would look at me and say, why didn't someone teach me this 10 or 20 years ago? And that is where this whole notion of we've got to be preparing people for leadership before they're leaders, it just makes sense. And so Game Changers came out of a desire through a company I was coaching to get people prepared for leadership, to teach them good communications, good perspective. We like that word a lot in the program. Good ways to take a step back and look at things from different angles. Good ways to, as you were talking about, speak their truth with a diplomatic and respectful way, because they always have to remember who they are and what position they're in. But getting them ready for that next role of leadership so they don't have to learn it on the fly or learn it, when they've already made a bunch of mistakes and they should have been doing this sooner. And another thing we teach in the Game Changers is you're not ready for your promotion until you've essentially trained someone that can replace you. And it's the idea of you want to be irreplaceable, you will remain irreplaceable and you will not get promoted. And that power in giving your knowledge, giving training, pouring into the younger, newer people under you to prepare them to take on your role so that you have a role to move into. Because, if you don't have anyone ready to take your position, they're going to keep you there. So I love the intercompany mentoring programs. I love when people can just, pay it forward, but that promoting from within. I really support that in companies. And the Game Changers completely facilitates that concept.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Well, so like, just well said. It's, it's a component of every organization's, well, I guess, let me say, should be a component of every organization's development plan,
Yeah.
right? When it comes to, how you are planning out your organization and the succession of the kind of culture that you want to create. Because, creating culture at the highest levels is, there's a lot of ingrained beliefs and behaviors
Definitely.
at that level.
Yeah.
But creating culture over the next 10, 15 years, that starts at Game Changers.
Yeah.
That starts at your rising leaders. So, I think this program is absolutely critical, and there's really no better person to facilitate it. So let me just put this plug out here for anyone listening that if this is something that you think is interesting, you go right to Julie's profile and you schedule a chat with her. That's it.
Yeah.
She'll get you up to speed. She'll talk to you about, the way that this may fit in some custom way within your organization. And just like you're listening in with our conversation right now, she's just as willing to have this conversation with you.
100%.
So do not hesitate to reach out to either of us. That's right on the Humessence website.
Yeah. And it's such a great culture building, but also I like to say it's a gift to your staff. It's like, I think we're entering into, well, we're not even entering, we're in the thick of a work environment and across the globe where employees want more out of their job than just, the office happy hours and, maybe a bonus. They want something to build their personal growth. And when you recognize and almost like accept the fact that they're probably not going to work for you forever, but that's not going to stop you from investing in them and growing in them. And what I tell business owners is the best thing you can do is to create a culture and a culture of learning and development and training that puts your company on the map, that any other company knows if they get an employee that came from your company, they are A++ superstars because you do the best job at training and growing and nurturing your staff. And, what a gift to give to your employee that they may outgrow you someday, but you're giving them those tools to go get another incredible job because
Mhm.
of what you've poured into them. And I think, I remember working in Los Angeles. I come from, again, entertainment, and there was a talent agency. William Morris was notorious for people get paid like $5 an hour to work in the mailroom. But that was the job everybody wanted, because if you could get your foot in the door at William Morris in the mailroom, making $5 a day, let's just say, you were on a path because they invested in you, they grew you, and you knew you were going to make it into the agent world because that's the program they ran. And
Mhm.
so, God, how cool would that be for companies to be so enticing to young, great talent that they'll do anything to get in the door because they trust that you're going to take their career and their personal and professional growth serious, and you're going to help them become the best they can be so they can be that for you.
Right. It's like, and now these skills are transferable, right?
Yeah.
These, you know, when you're talking about the skills to become a better leader, it's a lot of those are about, becoming a more well-rounded human overall. Like these are things that translate both inside and outside of the office. And, your people can come to you and be grateful about how their lives have improved from training like this and investing in your people. Now, when you take someone's life and upgrade it like that, I mean, talk about something that really fosters loyalty. And then there's always the folks that are like, well, what if we invest all this money and then they leave? And I just love this quote. What if you don't invest it and they stay?
Yeah. So true.
Right? It's like, which one do you want to place your bet on?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there's just so much here. There's so much that you bring to this conversation, and we would have to be on here for 3 to 4 hours to like really unpack all of the
I
things
know.
that you're doing and all of the all of the different conversations that people could have with you. Like there are so many ways that that you support your clients and that you support Humessence as well and me. So,
Thanks.
for that, I'm very grateful to have you on the team and for you to be on this conversation so that everyone listening right now can just get a little bit of Julie in their day,
Thanks, John.
of course. And with that, what's your last words of wisdom that you want to leave with the audience and
Hmm.
farewell?
Well, since this is an end of the year podcast, and I am a big one on uh, New Year's resolutions and just going out positive. I got a three-pronged challenge for the listeners, and this is obviously something you can do forever. So it doesn't have to be an end of the year challenge, but we'll look at it that way. So, three things you can do to end the year positively. And this is all um, under the umbrella of making people feel good. First thing, and this is all easy stuff, you can do it on your phone, so no excuse. I want you to text somebody that has had a positive impact helping you in your life this year, somebody that poured into you in some way, shape, or form. You got to send them a thank you. It's like, let their good deed not go unrecalled by the end of the year. So just send them another thank you and let them know what they did for you and how much it meant to you. Second, I want you to text somebody that you helped this year that really had the courage to come to you for help. Maybe you advised them, maybe you worked with them, maybe you just you were there for them, and I want you to tell them you're proud of them. And I want you to tell them you're grateful that they asked you for help and you were able to be in their life and you're honored to be on their journey. But just pour into that, filling them up so that they can be reminded it maybe wasn't easy for them to ask for help, but you were honored and you felt good that they did. So tell them that. The third thing I want you to do is I want you to go on your favorite social media platform and I want you to find a post by somebody maybe you know or don't know that you can tell a lot of people of, or that the person is poured into writing this content, and maybe they've got like one like. I want you to like it and I want you to write them a positive, encouraging comment. That's you touching a stranger. And right now, social media has such a hold on people's self-esteem. It's terrible, but it's true. And working with teenagers, I see how much value they put into the responses they get from their pictures and their posts. And I mean, it's bad, but it's the reality. And I think there's a lot of professionals out there that are feeling unseen, and it's really affecting potentially their self-esteem and the way they view themselves. If you can just give them a moment of notice, you could potentially change their whole day, month, week, and how they see that they're not invisible. So focus on helping people not feel invisible. And all three of those things, as easy as they are going to make you feel so good, because I guarantee somebody's going to write you back and thank you for that. And it's just this like transfer of good energy that if you can just start incorporating that into your daily life, you really are going to get fueled by making people feel good. That's my words of wisdom.
Oh, that was beautiful. All right. I got
You gonna
nothing
do
to
it?
add to that. I got nothing to add to that. Yes,
Okay,
I'm
do
going
it.
to do it. I'm
Good.
going to do it, and we'll task all of you listeners to do that as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in again, and I'm so glad that you got to experience the wonderful Julie Johnston. And I task you to set up a call with her to learn more, anything that piqued your interest out of this. She'll lean into helping you, if
I'd
you
love
can't
to.
tell from that last statement.
Thank you, John. You're amazing. It's an honor to work for you
Thanks, Julie.
and with
Until
you.
next time, everyone, much love.